Of all the movies ever made about BDSM, Labyrinth is the most successful one for children. More than one woman has confided in me that they first felt their panties tingle when the codpiece puppet operated by David Bowie flew in through that bedroom window. Do you doubt what I'm saying? Just look at a photo of Jim Henson. That famous beard, that Gandalf nose, all those custom-made attachments that fit over the hand. Someone was getting tied up behind his curtain. What does this children's classic from the Saint of the Sock Puppets have to say about sex? That's complicated. But please, like, subscribe, and share this video. Your little click impresses me a great deal. We begin with our heroine, Sarah, played by Jennifer Connelly. Sarah's a brat. She's in her mid-teens and has an adult body, but she doesn't know what her place is. She's not a child anymore. Should she become an adult? She has a little brother named Toby, who is a toddler. She also has a stepmother. Both of these people are rivals for her father's attention, while her stepmother also seeks to hold the authority of a parent over her. She doesn't seem to have any relationships with any kids her age. She never so much as mentions knowing a boy. She has no exes. She expresses no desire for any relationship in the future, even though it is quite common for girls her age to fantasize about a wedding and a husband. Sarah's utter lack of sexuality is emphasized when her stepmother says to her, "I assume you'd tell me if you had a date. I'd like it if you had a date. You should have dates at your age." Sarah has babysitting duties assigned to her once a week by her stepmother. She reacts to this job with adolescent outrage, characterizing herself as practically a slave. And in her frustration with her wailing brother, she says her right words: "I wish the goblins would come and take you away right now." And so Toby vanishes out of his crib, and the white owl appears at the balcony door, which is 90% glass. It is also wet with rain. The energy of a storm is building behind it. The white owl beats against the window, while a startled and confused Sarah gives out little cries and grunts. Then the white owl, a bird with a blunt, rounded head, manages to throw the doors open and penetrates the room in a spray of rain, followed immediately by the Goblin King, wearing a dick-shaped costume with a very high collar. In a terrific shot, his blunt-headed cylindrical shadow pushes along the floor until it lies almost between Sarah's feet, which is to say, legs. Sarah immediately begs for Toby's return, but Jareth tells her, "What's said is said." She begs again, and he tells her, "Sarah, go back to your room. Play with your toys and your costumes. Forget about the baby." This girl child is begging an older man to give her a baby, and he literally tells her to return to the playthings of her childhood. And this is where we have to talk about Toby. Labyrinth gives Sarah a toddler to protect and care for. It gives her the responsibilities of a mother, but in making Toby her much younger brother, her improbably younger brother, instead of her own son, the film can avoid even implying a sexual past for Sarah. Even their ages are arranged just so. If Sarah were just a year older, you might think that she was Toby's biological mother. As it is, she's a little too young for that to be likely. Interestingly, Labyrinth never explicitly communicates the identity of Toby's biological mother. Is that Sarah's mother, or is it Sarah's stepmother? We never see the stepmother interact with Toby. By not giving Toby a definitive mother, the film makes him more and more Sarah's symbolic son, but without the messy business of sex. The story of Labyrinth is the story of Jareth, the Goblin King, a handsome, powerful, and demanding older man who refuses to give Sarah, the virgin girl child, back someone else's baby. Usually a man like Jareth is thrusting babies into young women, not withholding them. And while he's battling to deny Sarah possession of Toby, it's very clear in his tone, body language, and especially third act dialogue that he longs to dominate her in at least an emotionally intimate relationship. Why does he confront Sarah at all? He doesn't need to introduce himself. He could have taken the child and vanished. The only explanation is that he wants Toby because Toby is his chance to have Sarah. For her part, Sarah struggles and demands that this powerful older man give her a baby, but a baby she already had in which she did not have sex to get. By denying Toby to Sarah, Jareth is denying her access to adulthood, adult responsibilities. But Sarah's adulthood is chaste. Remember that she didn't get Toby by having sex. Jareth tells her to remain among her toys and her costumes, but in fact he wants her to remain among his. What Jareth does offer Sarah is the chance to be his playmate. He keeps offering her crystal balls that will show her her dreams, which are childish fantasies of magical creatures and enchanted mazes. But it's also clear that there is a vital erotic subtext in this offer. Just listen to Bowie singing Underground, the song that opens and closes the film, linked below. The first time that Sarah refuses the crystal ball, it turns into a snake in Jareth's hand. He says, "Sarah, don't defy me." Then throws this penis analog at her face. She cries out, grabs the snake from around her neck, and tosses it on the floor where it turns into a goblin and runs away. The next time Sarah encounters Jareth, she is in a sewer-like tunnel in the Labyrinth. When he leans in and lowers his voice to ask how she is enjoying his labyrinth, she says that it is a piece of cake. Jareth becomes annoyed and summons the cleaners. The cleaners operate a drilling machine that scrapes the tunnel clean by grinding through it, pressing against the sides of the tunnel in all dimensions. The machine is pointed, like a drill. Sarah has to flee from it. In short, Jareth threatens her with yet another phallic symbol grinding its way through a tight passage. One of the characters Sarah befriends in the Labyrinth is the dwarf Hoggle, performed by the actress Shari Weiser, with Brian Henson as the voice. Hoggle is humanoid, but clearly not any kind of romantic match for Sarah. Hoggle does develop tender feelings of friendship for her, though, which puts him in a very difficult situation when the Goblin King coerces him into sabotage. Jareth also mocks Hoggle for thinking that Sarah could ever like a repulsive little scab like him. "If she ever kisses you, I will turn you into a prince. Prince of the land of stench." A few minutes of screen time later, Hoggle rescues Sarah from some creatures who are trying to tear her head off. Grateful for his well-timed return, Sarah kisses him on the head. Instantly, a trap door opens beneath them and dumps them into the bog of eternal stench. Hoggle upbraids Sarah, "What did you have to go and do a thing like that for?" So the only kiss in the film is one of innocent friendship delivered between a teenage girl to a dwarf who knows better and tries to dodge out of the way. It instantly has severe and unforeseen consequences, landing them in the bog of eternal stench, which stinks, looks terrible, and keeps making fart noises. It's like one huge, diseased body, isn't it? I've identified 12 negative memes about sex that are constantly recycled in popular media that you are bombarded with almost any time you turn on a screen. And this one is called Danger is Sex. Sex is presented as dangerous, as alarming, as frightening, and repugnant. One kiss, an innocent kiss of friendship, the only kiss I believe in the film, leads to these two characters being dumped instantly, magically transported into the bog of eternal stench. But Hoggle is still Jareth's creature, and he gives Sarah a peach. As soon as Sarah takes her first bite, she knows something is amiss. "This tastes strange. Hoggle, what have you done?" Deeply ashamed, Hoggle flees, saying, "Oh, damn you, Jareth. And damn me, too." Very soon, Sarah is immobile and disoriented, sitting with her back against a tree, drugged, enchanted, or both, but it looks a lot like drugged. Then the Goblin King magically transports her to a masked ball, so what we've got is stealthily drugged into near unconsciousness, then taken to a second location. Unlike the rest of the film, and in stark contrast to the girl child's band of whimsical creatures, the enchanted ball is full of human adults, wearing sinister masks as they laugh and dance together, each pair of dancers made up of one man and one woman. A wide-eyed Sarah appears in this sumptuous ballroom, but suddenly she is wearing evening makeup, tresses in her hair, and a satin gown with a definite hint of décolletage. She could be mistaken for 20, dressed like that. And on the soundtrack, we hear David Bowie singing a love song as Sarah and Jareth draw ever closer in the mad swirl, until finally she is in his arms as his dance partner. But as bodies press in on all sides, Sarah rejects this environment in a panic. She flees by smashing through a mirror wall with a chair. This somehow dumps her into a vast trash heap. All of that is obvious symbolism for adult heterosexuality, with Jareth as the master of the ball. But if it wasn't obvious enough, Sarah, now sprawled on that trash heap, looks down at the poisoned peach that is still in her hand. Not a lime, not a star fruit, a peach, a well-known symbol for the vulva. Sarah has taken just one bite out of it, and now when she sees a worm squirming in the flesh of the fruit, she throws it away in disgust. Threatened for the 5th time. Owl, dick costume, snake, cleaners, worm in the peach. Threatened for the 5th time by a phallic symbol from Jareth. Sarah then resists one more temptation to return to her toys, this one provided by the junk lady, who puts her into a facsimile of her childhood room carefully crafted in the middle of that trash heap. But then it is on to the Goblin City and Jareth's stronghold that lies beyond. There's a good deal of bashing about between Sarah and her loyal companions on one side and the Goblin army on the other, but with the goblins routed, Sarah goes to confront Jareth alone, saying to her friends, "I have to face him alone, because that's the way it's done." The way it is done is for one girl to confront her one dramatically lit psychosexual wizard king father thing operating the codpiece puppet. Throughout this film, there is a big bulge on the front of that Bowie. There's no other costuming theme that comes so close to bringing the pulsing sexual subtext out in the open. Sarah now has to make her way through a maze that defies logic, gravity, and the rules of architecture, all while Bowie croons on the soundtrack, "I can't live within you." At last she comes face to face with Jareth. "Sarah, give me the child." Jareth, "Sarah, beware. I have been generous up until now, but I can be cruel." Sarah, "Generous? What have you done that's generous?" Jareth, "Everything. Everything that you wanted, I have done. You asked that the child be taken. I took him. You cowered before me. I was frightening. I have reordered time. I have turned the world upside down, and I have done it all for you. I am exhausted from living up to your expectations of me. Isn't that generous?" Sarah, "Through dangers untold and hardships unnumbered, I have fought my way here to the castle beyond the Goblin City, for my will is as strong as yours, and my..." Jareth, "Stop! Wait! Look, Sarah, look what I am offering you." Here he shows her another one of his crystal balls. "Your dreams." Sarah, "And my kingdom as great." Jareth, "I ask for so little. Just let me rule you, and you can have everything that you want." Sarah, "My kingdom as great..." Damn, I can never remember that line. Jareth, "Just fear me, love me, do as I say, and I will be your slave." That's Dominant Submission 101. That's the lifestyle. This entire video could have been that line, but then Sarah remembers her vital line, "You have no power over me." Abracadabra, the clock strikes 13, the crystal ball turns to dust in Sarah's hand, Jareth dissolves into the white owl, and the white owl flies away. Sarah is left standing in her own living room at the stroke of midnight. Toby is safe in his crib. Labyrinth is made up entirely of 3 negative memes. The first is "danger is sex," which we have seen already. Sarah and Jareth's battle of wills is built on erotic tension and invitation that Sarah must reject. And yes, of course, teenage Sarah should reject the kidnapping spellcaster old enough to be her dad, but notice that this is not Sarah choosing between the good lover and the bad one. It's Sarah rejecting sexuality altogether. One of the friends who joins her cause in the Labyrinth is named Ludo, who could have been a 17-year-old adventurer with dreamy eyes, who could be the right choice as Sarah's romantic partner, in contrast to Jareth's wrong one. But Ludo was not that. Ludo was a big, hairy beast that couldn't speak a complete sentence. The second negative meme here is it's villains who sex. You can often tell who is the bad character in a narrative by who is enjoying their sex life, or at least trying to enjoy it. The only character who longs for a lover is that kidnappy spellcaster. This naturally leads us to the third: serious people don't sex. Heroes, important people, people with responsibilities, as for a child, don't have sex lives, because it's villains who sex, not serious people. None of our heroes have any romantic past, present, or future. Does Ludo, the hairy beast, have a mate? Does Hoggle have a wife off-screen? Does Sir Didymus express hope for love in the future? Does Sarah want a boyfriend? No, 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 and no. And then things get weird, narratively speaking. Sarah is back in her childhood bedroom among her toys. Her parents return from their night out. Her father calls to her in a friendly way, and she responds in kind. The resentment we saw in her at the beginning of the film is gone. She is the obedient child. And suddenly, magically, to her great delight, her room is filled with all her friends from the Labyrinth. Even a few goblin soldiers, adversaries earlier, now happy guests. The white owl, though, Jareth, is shut outside the window and flies away alone. Usually in these princess stories, a young woman discovers through her own grit and perseverance that yes, she is Mary Sue. But at the end, Labyrinth says no to that and just dumps Sarah back in her childhood bedroom, obedient to her parents' authority, among her toys and her friends from this children's story, all sexuality and adulthood firmly shut out in the night. We don't even see Toby in this shot. Her responsibilities as a surrogate mother have vanished. Labyrinth is a fascinating cinematic achievement, and it's firmly anti-sex and aimed at young adults. Thanks for your time and watching this video. If this is interesting to you, please come back next week for more analysis of this kind on a different movie or television show. Also take a look at my existing videos. There's quite a number of them. Some having to do with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Ghostbusters, other well-known properties. I'm Brian Downs. Thanks again.